Hey everybody. In the Real Secret Part 1, we spoke about the myth of controlling others. There's popular idea through the law of attraction that by controlling your own mind, controlling your own universe, by thinking about the things you love the most, you can attract these things to yourself. Also that you can eliminate things that you don't like in your world. For instance, you can manifest parking spots and make it easier to drive to work. And I spoke about how this idea was specious, superficially plausible, but nevertheless false, because this conceit actually has the germ in it of controlling other people. Obviously, if you can manifest an empty parking spot, then what you're doing is you're moving someone from a parking spot. Just like if you're clearing a path in the street, there are people who would otherwise be in that street in that moment through a free act of their own volition, and you are effectively moving them through your own mind. That's amazing, isn't it? Well, you're controlling them then through your mind. And if these people are practicing the same secret, they're going to be controlling you through their own mind as well. I mean, this logic breaks down on itself. The most control you can expect to reasonably have in your life is control over yourself. Sure, you can have unhealthy control of another human being, but most people who are in their right mind would argue that that's unethical or maybe even amoral or perhaps even, depending on what county you live in, illegal. So what I want to focus on is controlling your own mind and finding out actually what in the universe is the real secret. There are a lot of secrets in the universe. Some people think love is the most important thing. Other people think money is the most important thing. Other people think time is the most important thing. And they're all right. Depending on what you need, what you are short on, and what you have a shortage of, money might be more important to you in a moment than time is. We're going to get into all that stuff. But first, what we're going to talk about is this idea of controlling yourself. Yes, you have a lot of control over yourself. Control over your thoughts, certainly. Control over your reactions, absolutely. Control over your actions, yes, but not quite so much as the other two. And control over your actions when you're alone more than when you're in public. Why is that? Well, when you're at home, you can drop trowel, you can go to the bathroom on your bed, you can do a lot of things. You might say, well, I can do that in public. Sure, but not for very long. You're going to be arrested. If you need to drive 60 miles an hour to get to work on time, and the traffic around you is going 20 miles per hour, you don't have a choice to drive 60 miles per hour. At least not for very long. You dig? So in any case, we have more control when we're alone. We have more control over our minds than we do over our actions or over the physical universe. Now here's what's really interesting. What do lottery winners do when they win the lottery? A lot of you might say, oh, they all turn into junkies and they do a lot of heroin and they die in an alley. True. But a lot of them also hit more golf balls, bowl more, go to the ballet more. What makes the determination? It's real simple. What were you in love with before you won the lottery? If before you won the lottery you were an alcoholic, you are probably going to drink more alcohol after you win the lottery. If before you won the lottery you really liked playing golf but you didn't seem to have the time or the money to play, you're probably going to play more golf. If you'd like to go into the ballet, you're probably going to go to the ballet more. Now, what's really interesting about all these things is these things have far less to do with money than they do with time. One of the real secrets in the universe is not money, it's time. Your life is comprised of units of time. When you win the lottery, you don't have to go to work. You might not have to go to work at all, thereby freeing up a lot more time to bowl, go to the ballet, or hit golf balls. Think about it. What stops you from playing golf more often? Is it the $30 green fee? Or is it the 6-hour round? It's usually the time. Besides which, you don't have to pay $30 for a round. You can go to a local 9-hole pitch and putt where they have literally unlimited rounds of golf, pay $15 to get in the beginning of the day and just play all day until you have blisters all over your hands. But if you have a job to report to, a girlfriend, a wife, a child, or child support, chances are the reason you can't afford to do it is because you have to go to work to make the money to pay for these things. But it's not the money that's keeping you from doing it. It really is the time. Because if you had the money, you would have the time. So what's really, really interesting is this. What is it that's keeping you from bowling, playing golf, talking to that girl that you like, smiling at that guy and getting a date? Well, what it usually comes down to is an act of will, an act of resolve. Martin Luther King Jr. said, take the first step in faith and the rest of the staircase will appear. It's very interesting. The Greeks said, be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. Actually, they said fortune favors the brave. Goethe said, be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. Switch that. But they all tapped into the same idea, whether it was Martin Luther King Jr., Goethe, or the ancient Greeks or Romans. Be resolved. Take that first step. Be courageous. You don't have to have the whole plan in place. Remember, Martin Luther King Jr. said, take one step. the rest of the staircase will appear. You know, they talk about it in The Secret when you're driving down the road and your headlights are on. You can see just what's in front of you, and you continue to drive, and the road continues to reveal itself. You don't see the whole road. You're doing it in faith. When you plop down on a chair, you have faith that it's not going to break under you. You've seen other chairs hold up under the pressure of your weight, and so you just plop down on the chair. It's the same with the things in life that you love. If you really, really love women, but you haven't had a date in 6 years, next time you see a girl, walk right up to her. I didn't say to you to know what line you're going to say and tell her you like her shoes and throw a baby negative and roll back and do all these other tricks of picking up women. I just said walk directly toward her. The universe has a funny way of opening itself up to you when you take the first step in faith. Think about it. You walk up to a really pretty girl, what's going to happen? She's going to drop something. You're going to help her pick it up. She's going to smile at you, and it's going to embolden you. She's going to say hey to you and start talking, and you're going to be able to talk more. It's not going to happen every time, but it doesn't have to happen every time. It has to happen one time, unless you're a serial monogamist. I mean, if you are a serial monogamist. If you're the flip side of that, 10 wives, then it's got to happen more than once. But baby steps first, okay? Just walk up to one girl, see what happens. Walk up to 2, see what happens. Walk up to 3. Pretty soon, someone will say hey, or pretty soon, you'll have the cojones to actually say something to her. These muscles need to be exercised to work. I mean, even George Clooney in the movie 3 Kings, he asks the kid if he's scared, and the kid's like, yeah, I'm scared. And he's like, what about you? And he says, I am too. He's like, but you're so courageous, you're so strong, you're so... And he goes, you know how? And he goes, no. Courage is nothing more than when you are afraid, doing it anyway. The most courageous people in the world are also afraid. But through constantly exercising these courage muscles of taking the step, their courage is built up. It's like any other muscle. But here's what I really want to get down to and make you guys happy. If you won the $300 million lottery, chances are you wouldn't go out on a yacht buying or mansion buying spree. You could maybe do those things also, but the biggest thing that would change in your day-to-day would simply be that you would do more of the things that you enjoyed doing before you won the lottery. So here's the real interesting thing. You win $300 million, okay, that's the average lottery windfall. The $300 million isn't going to be the biggest change. The time that it buys is going to be the change. And how do you prove that? Because let's be really honest. Whether you have $5 million, $500, $5, or $300 million, what's going to run out before the money runs out? Even if you have $300 million, the time is going to run out before the money runs out. So I just want to encourage you guys to go out there, take that first step in faith, walk toward what you love. If you love to swim and it's a blizzard, walk, part for the whole. And remember one last thing. An ounce of reality outweighs a pound of words. You might think to yourself, oh, I can imagine what it's like to be in a nice, warm, toasty bubble bath. But when you actually slip into that bubble bath, it's very, very remarkably different than merely thinking about that bubble bath. And so is taking a real date with a real girl. Courage, you guys. Take that first step. Take good care. Real secret? Time. Also, mastery of self, self-awareness about what makes you the most happy, and then managing your time as best you can, which is simply doing those things you love to do more often than things you don't want to do by doing them more. Godspeed, y'all.